What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Lunch Hour with the Clydesdale. Here we are on a Friday afternoon, finishing out the work week. I actually had a couple hours off this morning as I went to get my follow-up EKG following my my cardioversion, my shock back into rhythm from AFib. I had my EKG this morning. Nurses said everything looked good. Medicine seems to be working right now. So we are, we're making progress. Everything's going well. And then I clocked back into work for a couple hours and come down here to talk to you guys. And man, is it cold. It is so dang cold in my basement right now. I have a little portable heater, but it takes way too long to heat up the basement. And I'm only down here for, half hour, 45 minutes. So haven't kicked it on. But man, freezing as I wear the Don't Weaken shirt and I'm acting like a pansy. Anyway, James, what's going on, man? Good morning to you as well. Thank you for being here. Before we get into too much stuff, just wanted to share that the Syndicate Crown is still looking for volunteers. If you're interested in being a volunteer, they have signups here on Instagram. Just go to the Syndicate Crown Instagram page. Volunteer staff apply by 1:23, 10 p.m. Eastern time. It's a great crew. If you've never had the chance to volunteer in an event, this will be in Knoxville, Tennessee. And it's put on by the 12 Labors CrossFit crew. It's a great community of people. They're great to work with. I give them a hard time a lot when I'm there for media because I push for more access than maybe I should or maybe they want to allow. But they're great people to work with. Wilson Pock leads that crew. He's just one of the best people I've met in the space. And I started my journey with CrossFit through volunteering with the sports side. I started doing just odds and ends things and then went to security, then went to judging. So I've had a chance to do a lot of different things and met a lot of great people through volunteering. And so if you feel so inclined and you want to be a part of something instead of just watching something, the volunteer staff is awesome. So check that out. And see if you can get in there. And they have all kinds of jobs. You get to kind of pick what you're interested in. But yeah, go check that out. So there's that. The other thing I will touch on briefly is, man, why do I cheer for nothing but losers in sport? Last night, sat down to watch my Penn State Nittany Lions take on the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, only for them to blow it in the end with a horrible pass by Drew Aller at the end of the game to throw an interception and set up Notre Dame for a pretty makeable field goal with, but yeah, it's so frustrating. Penn State gained 145 yards in the first half on the ground. They were getting 5, 6, 7 yards a clip. I don't know why they go away from that and try to get cute. But because they were wearing down the Notre Dame defense in that first half so much, and they let the game get away from them by being goofy and cute. And because of that, they lost the game. And then we have to see the stats about James Franklin, the head coach of Penn State, who has won 1 out of 15 games against top 5 opponents. Now, the majority of those are Ohio State and Michigan in the Big Ten, but there was his opportunity to win the big game, and they had it right there in their hands. They could have played it a little safer at the end because Drew Aller was not having the best game last night. They could have methodically tried to move the ball down. If it didn't work, just go to overtime. Because I think that their team had way more depth, and they could have wore Notre Dame out in overtime, but we'll never know because we never got there. Congratulations to the Fighting Irish for going on. My best friend in the world is a Notre Dame fan. So, yeah. So that adds salt to my wound. As his team wins, my team's going home. And then I learned this morning that Abdul Carter is declaring for the draft, which he should, because he's probably the best defensive player in the country. And he showed that again last night. And he'll be a top 5 pick in the NFL. But he declared this morning that he is going into the NFL draft. Now, there's been some speculation about Drew Aller, the quarterback at Penn State. He said he was coming back for his senior year. Now, there's been some speculation that due to his arm strength, his size, that he would be a first-round draft pick. And there's some speculation maybe he is going to go back on that word and declare for the draft. But nothing from his camp on that at all. That's just been kind of outside speculation. But we'll wait to hear if he returns for his senior season, which would put Penn State in a pretty good spot, or if he's going to declare for the draft. So there's that. We also have plenty of football this weekend. Oh my gosh. We have Ohio State, Texas tonight to see who's going to face Notre Dame in the national championship game here in Columbus. Now I will root against Ohio State as I don't want to hear them talk about it. So I'm going to root for Texas hard tonight, which means Ohio State will probably win. What's up, Jody? We got Jody, we got Judy, we got Bruce, we got Lex. Man, people rolling in here. But yeah, then this weekend we have Houston versus the Chargers to start off the NFL weekend. We have Pittsburgh, Baltimore, the primetime night game tomorrow night in Baltimore on Prime. Then Sunday slate is Buffalo, Denver, Philadelphia, Green Bay, and Tampa Bay and Washington. And then we finish out the first round of the playoffs with the Rams and Minnesota, which that game has been moved from LA to Arizona, to the stadium where the Cardinals play. And it's really, they said on Get Up this morning, based on first responders. To put on an NFL game, you need about 150 first responders at the game. And in LA, they just need to be other places. And so for that, they have moved the game to Arizona to play the game there. So, Clock, you are dead on. What a crazy playoffs. Oregon gets routed. Notre Dame beats Georgia and gets in the title game. Yeah, I mean, Penn State dominated Notre Dame last night and just didn't score enough points. They just didn't score enough points. They ran the ball at will and still could not close it out. So freaking frustrated today. Anyway, I don't usually have teams that make it that far in anything. My Bears haven't made the playoffs in like one time in 12 years. So I'm not used to any of this stuff. And so it hurts when it goes bad. The 12-year-old me noticed something today. I don't know if anybody else has seen this. You know, when they name the Super Bowl every year, it is in Roman numerals. Does anybody know what this year's Super Bowl is? This is a 12-year-old me. It's Super Bowl licks. Yep, this year the winner of Super Bowl licks. That's who we're trying to figure out this year. So that struck me as really funny this morning for some reason, and I just wanted to share it with you all. So yeah, Super Bowl licks. Let's go. I do have one little CrossFit thing I want to talk. Well, first of all, CrossFit did announce that they have put together their athlete council. I'm going to save the details on that for Sunday night, but they have announced who those people are. We'll go through the list of names, who made the list, who's there representing the athletes on the CrossFit Athlete Council, and we'll get into more detail on that on Sunday night. But all week I've been thinking about like this CrossFit Games season and how confusing it is to try to explain to people And so I'm just going to do like a little mini riff today. I think as I sit back and just kind of um, as I sit back and think about the season as a whole, the window or the target for athletes to make it to the games this year seems to be like getting to be like the eye of a needle. Like if we want to go biblical, or a keyhole, like it just keeps shrinking and shrinking and shrinking. There is a really good possibility that your favorite CrossFit athlete or someone's favorite CrossFit athlete, fan favorite, is not going to make the games. When you've reduced the online qualifier to 12 people, and you know there are people out there doctoring videos, cheating, and we're not going to catch them all, something's going to happen. And then all of these in-person semifinals allow 2 or 1 person in. I mean, let's take Dallin Pepper, for instance, right? Say he goes to Syndicate Crown. Jeff Adler wins. Roman Krennikov comes in second. Dallin Pepper comes in third. Jason Hopper comes in fourth. There's a good chance one of those are not getting an invite to the games from that event, unless they all or half get in on the online, which is worldwide now. Worldwide, which Europe seems to dominate the online version of the Open. And we don't have quarterfinals to up the intensity and sort some things out. You're just going open to online semifinal. Man, it's going to be tight. These windows are small. And I have a really good feeling that at the end of the day, we're going to have people that we really want to see at the games, and they're not going to make it. And it seems like the people not doing the games is becoming smaller and smaller than maybe we initially thought. So I just think that, one, it's so hard to explain. It's so hard to explain that there are these multiple ways to make it to the CrossFit Games, either through online or in person, and you've got 10 in-person events, and some of them allow 2 and some of them allow 1, and the online allows 12 if we're not announcing any new ones. It just seems so messed up and confusing to try to explain to people, and I think we're going to miss some of the people that deserve to be there for sure this year. Clock, nobody else has really mentioned they're not going to the games. I've only heard Emma Tall, and that was a probably. I've heard Emma McQuaid. I don't think Luka Jukic is going, although, yeah, I don't think he's going. So I just think it's like a handful of people at this point. I don't, but we'll find out. Like the Open's going to be a month away or so, and we're going to find out who's there and who's not. Judy Reed, also, who gets to go to which online event? Is there an invite or a qualification process? I think all that is up to that third party, and that's what's crazy. Like if you listen to the spin, they had the organizers of NorCal on, and they said that they do have the right to just invite people to their competition, but their qualifiers are going on right now, and they were just announced. So if you want to qualify for their event and you weren't working out, like, good luck. Bruce, I don't think there's going to be many spots for up and comers. I think that it's going to be the same people that we've always seen. I think there's going to be a handful of people that don't do it, who have made their money, or who don't need to make more money or want to do it a different way, or that they just firmly believe that CrossFit was wrong in something that they did. But I don't think the number is going to be as big as we thought. or that some thought. I think it's just going to be a handful of people. And some of the people that have announced they're not going weren't there last year or have not been competitive in the space for a couple of years. So I don't even know what effect it would have. But yeah, the fact that like Syndicate Crown and TFX are going to be like regionals like we had last year, where it's map based, who gets in and who doesn't, and Africa's that way, but yet other events are worldwide, so anybody in the world can sign up for and go to. There's just no consistency to this. It's just the Wild West as to how you're going to get in or not. And like I said, like people are going to get invites to some, not have to do the qualifier. Some have to do the qualifier. Some places it's all qualifier. There's speculation that Mayhem is going to be partially invite. I've also heard they're going to use the Open as their qualifier and not do an additional qualifier. Rich stated he does not like doing additional qualifiers and adding that to the plate of the athletes during the competition season. And then you have like Australia, the Torian doing the Open plus one additional week. So they're using the Open, but they're adding a week of their own workouts to that to add on to the qualifier. So everybody's doing it different, and it's so confusing. And I really do think at the end of the day, we're going to miss out on some of the big names who just didn't qualify, didn't hit the right. There's going to be strategy involved in like where you go to qualify, who your competition is, because there's going to be some competitions where there's only 2 spots and 5 great athletes. So it's just, yeah. I don't know. Who knows? I don't know anymore. So, there's that. That's my little mini riff for a Friday as we go into the weekend. No, Bruce. The Open should never be a direct qualifier to the CrossFit Games, in my opinion. Never a direct qualifier to the no. I think we were close the last 2 years. But I've never been a believer in worldwide inclusion. I think it should be the best 30 or 40 athletes, whatever you pick the number to be, get to come play at the CrossFit Games. I think that you use other ways to develop in countries to get people to get better and better. Doesn't mean that they can't have competitions there, or because Asia has gotten better. Chung Young Choi, Juan Young, they have gotten better and better and deserve to be at the CrossFit Games. But just to like say Africa gets a spot because we want to include all the continents just seems crazy to me. It should be the best 30 or 40 athletes. And when you bring the best 30 or 40 athletes, then all the heats matter. When you do the inclusion part, that last heat or the first heat, whatever you want to call it, sometimes doesn't matter because they cannot be competitive with the rest of the field. And so nobody watches it. It doesn't have any effect on the scoreboard. But that's my rant for that. I've always been a believer that let's bring the best 30 or 40, whatever number you want it to be. I like 40. This year they're going down to 30, but if you brought the best 40 athletes, you would see a different competition because more relevancy would happen throughout the field as opposed to having to include people from every different spot around the world. So there is that. The last two things are going to be non-CrossFit. This is something I'm going to try for a Friday. I'm going to do every Friday. For people who don't know, I collect vinyl records, old school records and record players. I play them all the time. I love music. I love it a lot. And so what I did is I grabbed a couple of albums out of my collection. And today I grabbed my favorite album of all time. My favorite albums, there's two of them when I was in high school. And then my favorite album that is out today. And just going to share that with you guys and see what you think. And if you like it, we'll keep trying it. So my favorite album of all time, number one on my list forever, is this one, Van Halen 1. This was the first album that Van Halen put out back in 1978, I believe. But I did not discover this till I went to college. When that album came out, I was 8 years old. And my family didn't listen to a lot of music at the house. So I learned music from going to school and people that I heard it from there. I didn't really discover Van Halen until they did Diver Down in 1984 with 1984 had Jump on it, their most popular song of all time, even though I would consider it one of their worst songs of all time. But this one, my college roommate, when I first walked in the door, was playing it. And when Running with the Devil came on, I had never heard a sound like that in my life. And because of that, I fell in love with Eddie Van Halen because I listened to Running with the Devil. I listened to Eruption. I listened to The Ice Cream Man. Ain't Talking About Love. Feel Your Love Tonight. This song, every song on that album is a banger. It is cover to cover. Put it on. Let it wash over you. You don't have to take it off. It is banger cover to cover. So then my high school favorites, this one is a little bit obscure. And I had to get an original copy of this on record because they have never reprinted it. Like Van Halen 1, that's a reprint on a much heavier vinyl, so it doesn't warp. But this is Survivor Vital Signs. And most people know Survivor for Eye of the Tiger. That song is not on this album. The band actually broke up after Eye of the Tiger, got rid of their lead singer, and they hired a guy named Jimmy Jameson who did this album. And this album has High on You, I Can't Hold Back. Those are kind of the popular songs on this album. I've seen them in concert with this singer. He's also known, he did the actual theme song to Baywatch, the singer Jimmy Jameson. So if you've ever watched Baywatch, the theme song was done by Survivor and him. But this is a great, great album. It's a little more poppy than Eye of the Tiger. And I love it. When I found this in an old record store, I lost my mind because this is an original pressing from like 1982, 84 maybe. But it's great. It's great. I've seen him in concert. This is great. Jimmy Jameson has since passed. But this was one of my favorite albums. I almost wore out the cassette when I had it back in the day. Clock, I took you for Depeche Mode and Tears for Fears fan. I actually was a massive Depeche Mode fan, dude. When I was in high school, beginning of college, I really got into Depeche Mode. I was never a big Tears for Fears guy, but Depeche Mode, Erasure, REM, and I like all kinds of music, so I'm open to all that. But yeah. And this one actually leans more in that direction. This is my other favorite album, and this was like later in my high school career, my high school days, and it was Yes, 90125. And this one is the big song off of this is Owner of a Lonely Heart. They also have Leave It, which was a big MTV hit back in the day. They made like 30 different videos. Like 30 different videos for that one song, and they were all different, and they played them throughout MTV, the different versions all day. But yes, 90125 again. When I had the cassette, I played it all day long out in my boombox while I was doing work in the yard. I think my dad was so sick of this album. He probably wanted to rip the tape apart, but I listened to it all the time. Jody Lynn, a Depeche Mode fan as well. Yeah, I saw Depeche Mode in concerts. I think twice. I think twice. One of them I got a free ticket because there's a group of girls who did not want to drive in downtown Pittsburgh, and so they gave me a free ticket to go to the concert and drive them there. They were awesome. It does get a little bit like they are kind of the same throughout everything they do, but I really enjoy them, and they were big in the dance clubs. Even when I was in college bouncing, they got played quite a bit. So my favorite album that is out today, I just got this for my birthday. It is Teddy Swims. I tried everything but Therapy. The thing about this album is, for the first time I bought music where I put it on, and usually when I put a record on, I'm doing something else. I'm putting together Legos. I'm working on show ideas. I'm making backgrounds. I'm doing whatever I need to do. This one is so good that I just sat in my chair, closed my eyes, and let it just kind of wash over me. It is by far one of the best albums in the last 10 years. And what's cool is it actually comes on a baby blue, I don't know if you can see it, a baby blue vinyl. That's the new shtick in records, is they change the color of the vinyls. But it's baby blue. And there was not a song on here I didn't like. From cover to cover, just really like his raspy, soulful voice. And it's just classic. It has it has that classic sound that just never dies, right? Like you can, and his voice is so freaking good, man. Yeah, Teddy Swims is pretty good. James W. Teddy Swims is so good. The Door is the best song I've heard in ages. Yeah, what you would probably know off of this, maybe The Door and What More Can I Say, Lose Control, Some Things I Never Know. Those are great albums. But if you're looking for just a great classic album that's out today, this dude is it, man. Teddy Swims. And he just announced that him and his wife are about to give birth. So congratulations to Teddy Swim. So Jody, Teddy Swims is actually a guy, not a group, but he is so good, so good. If you have Spotify, go check him out. He just has that really classic, I don't know, it's good, just that it reminds me of like a modern version of Ray Charles, or a modern version of like those classic singers that were just really good. I don't know. Check it out. I know music is everybody has different tastes, but he's so good, and definitely by far the best album I've heard in 10 years. So favorite all time, Van Halen 1, favorite of now, Teddy Swims, and then my favorite in high school, Yes 90125, and Survivor Vital Signs. All great stuff. And I'll pick out some other stuff every week and kind of share what's going on in the vinyl world and what I collect. And maybe that helps you learn a little bit more about me. The last thing I have is Landman season finale is this Sunday, and I could not be happier. Jay Birch says, I have a Spotify playlist called Swagger that has a lot of that genre of music. Very cool. Yeah, I have one that I just have an eclectic mix of like bizarre stuff. The Teddy Swims would go on, and like Nathaniel Ratliff and the Night Sweats, like that guy is awesome. I'm trying to think. Anderson East, he's on that list with me. I don't know. I'd have to pull it up, but yeah, a little bit of a brain fart today, but yeah, that's awesome. So maybe I'll share some playlists too, because I do have a Spotify account and I can make them public and we can share stuff like that. Final thing is Landman is coming to an end for this season, this Sunday night. I have been so addicted to this show. Yeah, Bishop Brooks is good. Trying to think of the other guy. There's one guy I have in my head. I just can't come up with his name. So what's fascinating about this show is the character development is so good, and they've developed so many good characters. My only beef with the show is that you have Demi Moore, this highly acclaimed actress, in this show, and she shows up for maybe 3 minutes in the first 9 episodes. And so now they're developing her as a character, but you barely know her. The son of Billy Bob Thornton is so good, and yet he only gets little smatterings throughout the season. They do this amazing job developing characters, but there's just not enough time in the show to kind of meet them all. They introduced a lawyer that is now apparently going to play a very integral role moving forward, but she hasn't been on an episode in two episodes. But it is so good, and it is has become so popular. I'm hoping that it gets a season 2 that has not been formally announced, but it is getting ratings in the Yellowstone area. So I'm hoping that they do renew that for another year. So, but if you have not watched Landman, catch up, and season finale this Sunday, definitely well worth your time on Paramount Plus. So stoked for that. Oh my gosh, Jody. I can't stand that son character. What a wimp. Are you all the way through episode 9? Because he pulls a couple things in the last few episodes that I would say are not wimpish. But now I'm curious to know what qualities Jody thinks are wimpish, because the last couple of episodes he's been really strong. Thank you, Jay Birch. You think he was wimpish when the way he took on that attorney? And then he took a whooping for that woman. And he was completely outnumbered 4-1. Okay, Jody. Okay. All right. We'll see. The other thing I wanted to bring up is I'm thinking about on every Tuesday doing a top 5 Tuesday, and just putting it out to you guys, whatever you want that top 5 to be, whether it's I know like people have sent me messages that they want to bring back the Arnold Schwarzenegger top 5, things like that. It can be actor movies, it can be movies up whatever genre, it can be TV shows, it can be music, it can be whatever. But I figured every Tuesday we would collectively do a top 5 Tuesday and just kind of talk about that and do what we need to do there. So if you have an idea for a top 5, we'll do those every Tuesday, and I'll try to bring on a guest for those where we can debate back and forth different ideas for the top 5. So Jay says, yes, you're right. He did fudge up that attorney. He really did. He really did. And I actually love the end of the episode 9 as he's moving forward with his plans. I think that's pretty cool what he has in store. We'll see if he runs up against anything in the process, but yeah. So every Tuesday we'll do a top 5. You guys kind of pick the topics. I'll try to come up with some as well. And I'll try to bring in some guests every Tuesday afternoon to do a top 5. And with that, that's all I got for today. Don't forget to tune in Sunday night for Sunday Night CrossFit Talk. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the NorCal CrossFit being added to the slate of events this late in the season. We're going to talk about the effect that has on the athletes, the effect that has on the season. We're going to talk about the athlete council that was just named yesterday. Probably going to talk WFP, or whatever else comes up in the CrossFit space, we'll be talking about it in depth. Yeah, and anything else we can think of. So don't forget to tune in to Carolyn, Jamie, and myself Sunday night for that. And yesterday, Kat and I were talking about hairstyles. And we're going to next week do a top 5 on the round table of best and worst hairdos in the CrossFit space. So we're already starting to put that together, and we will do that next Thursday. Till then, tune in Sunday night, and then every weekday other than that, we will watch Landman or listen to the podcast. Actually, Landman comes on before our podcast. I've been able to watch it. They release it earlier in the day, Jody. So you don't even have to pick. Just saying. With that, guys, hope you have a great weekend. We have a winter weather advisory in Columbus for the next 24 hours or so. So we are going to batten down the hatches, which is cool because I'm just being the caretaker to my wife. And with that, we will check you guys all out Sunday night and then all next week. Bye, guys. Have a great, fabulous weekend.